Thank you so much, everyone. Let's begin tonight's conversation, and it's going to be majorly about President Muhammadu Buhari and his recent decisions, especially as he's resumed the second term in office. Since he resumed second term in office, that is major actions taken that has received reactions from eminent Nigerians. The latest is the dissolution of the Economy Management Team and setting up of the Economic Advisory Council to be headed by Professor Doyin Salami, including also the dissolution of the presidential panel on the recovery of public property headed by Mr. Okoye Obola. All of these decisions have come with some political inferences drawn to it by analysts and close watchers. The president will address the United States General Assembly. What will he be telling the world leaders, and what is in it for Nigeria? That's another point for conversation tonight. With some of the actions of President Muhammadu Buhari in the second term, it appears the Buhari of the second term is a different one, isn't it? Well, that is one of the comments by some of the critics of the president. Well, let's get talking, everyone. And let's ask his media advisor, Mr. Femi Adesina. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Adesina, for joining us tonight. Clarify for us, if we may start on that note, some of the reactions trailing the decision of the president, the one of Monday and that one of Tuesday. There's been a lot of debate, Mr. Adesina, of especially when the Economic Management Team met last week, and on Monday the president dissolved it and set up the Economic Advisory Council. On Tuesday, the president also dissolved the panel on the recovery of public properties as set up by the vice president when he was acting president, when the president was away. So a lot of political inferences are being drawn to it. Afenifere came out today, Mr. Adesina, and they say, I quote, that the office of the vice president has been rendered useless and impotent. What is going on in the presidential villa?
Well, nothing out of the ordinary is going on. The governance continues, and the presidency remains one. And this presidency just wants to do the best for Nigeria. But unfortunately, our country is one in which even if 100-man-old dies, people will try to find out who killed him. Particularly if he has a neighbor, an old woman, they will say, maybe it's that witch. If the woman is of a different ethnic group, they will say, oh, maybe it's that witch that killed this our grandfather, even though the grandfather was 100 years. So that is Nigeria. Too much suspicion, different kinds of inferences in things that are just normal and natural, things that are designed to accelerate governance and make sure there is probity and accountability. They will find all sorts of inferences. There's nothing out of the ordinary happening. All that President Buhari has done, particularly this week, is just to tweak governance and get the best for Nigerians.
Is he also out of the ordinary, or not out of the ordinary, Mr. Adesina? We understand, of course, the president had asked the vice president to take charge of NEMA and other institutions as such. And now we understand that NEMA will return to where its parent ministry. Now, again, is it true, if you can confirm to us, that the special intervention programs have been also taken out of the office of the vice president?
Obviously, you didn't read a statement that came from the office of the vice president last night. If you read that statement, this question needn't have come up because things have been put in their proper perspective. You said the president asked the VP to take care of NEMA. That is wrong. It is a constitutional responsibility of the office of the vice president to oversee NEMA. So if you said the president told the VP to oversee, no, the Constitution tells the president to oversee NEMA. And the president respects the Constitution, the vice president also respects. You talked of SIP being moved. I am not aware of that.
So, Mr. Adesina, because when these things are happening in the corridors of power and within the political sector, you know, a lot of inferences. And the reason, some of the questions we're asking you is not like we are not aware. We're asking you so that you can clarify to Nigerians and average Nigerians, millions of them who are watching now, and the reasons why we have invited you tonight. For us, another question that has been generated is the one as regarding the role of the vice president in the economic management administration. As what has been done by the president on Monday with the Professor Salami-led Economic Advisory Council whittle down the role of the vice president, or is he being asked to do some other thing in that regard since the EMT has been disbanded?
You seem to forget that the vice president is the number 2 man in the country. If the president is away, the vice president acts because it's a joint ticket. Therefore, the new economic advisory body can also relate with the vice president as necessary. It's just Nigerians, well, some Nigerians who want to drive a wedge between the president and the vice president that read meanings into everything. They insinuate about everything. But there's no need for that. It's one presidency, and decisions taken are best for the country.
So let's talk about, clarify for us also tonight, Mr. Adesina, how the workings of the Economic Advisory Council, the National Economic Council, and how this is going to work in the absence of the EMT, which we saw how it worked in the last 2.5 years or so. How will this new regime of the administration of the economy has been set up by the president work this time around?
Well, that will be preemptive because the Economic Advisory Committee has not even been inaugurated. They need to be inaugurated and have their first sitting. It's not unlikely that during the inauguration, Mr. President will speak about the council and what they are expected to do. So to ask me to begin to talk about it now is preemptive. And you don't actually second-guess your president. You wait till he makes his speech, and after that, if you want clarification, I can always do as necessary.
I'm perhaps not asking you to second-guess. I'm asking you perhaps to reiterate some of the things that you sent out, Mr. Adesina. On Monday, you were the one who gave us the brief of what this team will do and what the brief are. So I probably was just asking you to reiterate how their workings will be. You had said in that statement that they will report to the president directly, and the time they will be meeting, when they can have an emergency meeting. That's perhaps what I was expecting you to reiterate.
Yeah, but all that is in the public domain already. So why do we begin to repeat ourselves or beat a dead horse? It's in the public domain. What we are waiting for is the inauguration of the council and what the president will say.
So when are they likely to be inaugurated? When is the team going to be inaugurated?
No date for now. No date for now. But of course, Nigerians will be informed when there is a date.
There's been a debate whether or not this is a new Buhari that we are seeing. A lot of people, especially even some of your critics, have said that, look, this Buhari seems to be different from the first term. Well, only time will tell because it's still early in the day to judge. But I've seen some of the reactions coming through. Perhaps yesterday, let me throw this to you, Mr. Adesina. Professor Kingsley Mohalu said, the idea of the Economic Advisory Council was in his book initially, and the presidency has not given him credit. Did the idea come from this book? Did you get inspiration from the book?
No man can lay claim to ideas. There are some things that don't have trademark. No man can lay claim to that. It's in the realm of common sense, so no man can lay claim to it.
So tell us, is this a new Buhari that you have worked with in the first 4 years? It seems to be something different, is it, in its approach?
You respond to time and chance and opportunity. This is the second term, about 4 months into that term. That means 4 years, less by 4 months. The president has got to get cracking. This president wants to leave a legacy for Nigeria. And he knows that time is short. So whatever tick says the clock, what you have to do quick. And that's what the president is doing.
So maybe what the chairman of the APC said, he said you cannot call this Buhari Baba go slow any longer. It can be called Baba fast. Is that the case right now? Because even the president referred to himself as Baba that wants to take it easy. So is he moving at a pace that you think is faster than the first term?
One thing I would like you to recognize was what came in one of the earlier broadcasts of the president, I think in his first year. He said, order is better than speed. He still stands by that. Order is better than speed. This president will do things orderly. He may need to fasten the pace because this is the second and final term, and he must achieve a lot of things. But he will still remain painstaking. He will still remain orderly.
A lot of questions have been raised about the issue of security, Mr. Adesina. And I'm afraid we may not have time to dwell on that, but Nigerians are expecting the president to take action on some of these issues. But tell us, before I ask you about what the president will be telling the United Nations General Assembly, there has been some arrests being made that given a lot of Nigerians concern, which is raising question as to the body language of the government of the day to free press, to issues of rights of citizens. What can you tell us? Because we have the likes of Daddy Yatta, a few guys, one or two of them that one can lay hands on. What is happening? Have you heard about some of these cases?
No, perhaps you are referring to some people who did things online and some people laid complaints against them and the law brought them in. The media is not above the law. Journalists are not above the law. What we ask of the law is that when any journalist infringes on any law, charge him before a court of law. Don't forget I was a president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Our position had always been that if any editor contravened the law and you must arrest him, charge him to court. Don't hold him indefinitely. I'm not aware that anybody is being held indefinitely without a charge against such.
Okay, stay with us, Mr. Adesina, because I'd like you to talk to us about what the president will be telling the General Assembly at the United Nations when he goes to New York. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We have another panel on the program that will be talking to us about President Buhari's economic decisions, what is the need for Nigeria, and the implications of some of his actions recently. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We've been speaking with Mr. Femi Adesina, President Buhari's media advisor. He's been talking to us from our Abuja studio. It does look like some of the decisions of the president on the economy is getting a lot of attention. Let's get back to our Abuja studio with Mr. Adesina on the issue of what the president will be telling world leaders. Is going to be the 5th president to speak at the General Assembly. Mr. Adesina, what can you tell us about what the message President Buhari will be taking to the United Nations General Assembly? What will he be telling the world leaders?
Well, the United Nations is global stage. You don't have a stage bigger than that. That's the biggest stage in the world. And the president will be taking Nigerian issues to the global stage. What are Nigerian issues? Security is Nigerian. National development, fighting corruption, curtailing insurgency and banditry. And you'll find that these things are common to the world. Last weekend, we were in Burkina Faso for an extraordinary ECOWAS summit. You will find out the things discussed there were West African, and almost all those issues were common to the sub-region. Therefore, issues that are Nigerian are going to be taken to the global stage, and the the important thing there is that most of those issues are also international. You will find that things that affect Nigeria affect other parts of the world. For instance, Nigeria is championing the recharge of the Lake Chad. You will find that it is gaining traction, even in the West, because it's a humanitarian issue, it's a global issue. So President Buhari will talk about some issues that are basically Nigerian, and then there are some other international issues that he will also convey Nigeria's position on them to the world. That's basically what will be happening at the United Nations.
Okay. We'll allow you to go now, Mr. Adesina, but react to those who have advised President Buhari that he should listen to the Economic Council, Advisory Council that he has set up.
Why did he set them up if he was not going to listen to them? President Buhari is not like a president we have had in this country who was swearing in his special advisors, and he told them, "You are my special advisors, but I'm not bound to listen to your advice." President Buhari is not in that mold. If he has appointed you, he wants you to work. I'm special advisor on media. There are issues I had met the president about and say, "What are we saying about this?" And he will say, "You are my advisor. I expect you to advise me on it." That's President Buhari for you. So those people that he has put together, he's going to listen to them.
We wish you the very best in the administration of the activities of the country. Thank you so much, Mr. Adesina, for talking to us on the program tonight.